Hey everyone, I wanted to make a video today dedicated to Halo Reach, one of my favorite Halo games of all time in the series. Halo Reach was the last Halo game made by Bungie. After that, they went independent, and eventually they created the Destiny franchise that a lot of people like and a lot of people hate. But for today's video, I wanted to talk about Halo Reach. All the things that Halo Reach introduced into the Halo series of games and the Halo universe, the things that divided fans, and how ambitious Halo Reach was at the time. So Halo Reach launched on September 14th, 2010. I feel like a boomer for saying I remember the launch of Halo Reach. This was something that a lot of people were excited about. There were, at the time, they were called vid-docs made by Bungie. You would have to go to like bungie.net to watch the special videos they made, like little mini documentaries of them talking about how they wanted to make sure that everything worked so well for Reach, that they were trying to really up the ante from Halo 3 in terms of having kind of a wow factor. And they said that since this was their last game, they wanted to really go out on a positive note. And, you know, I think as time has gone on, a lot of people have appreciated Halo Reach. And there are still some people that really don't like Reach. I'm definitely not one of those people. I love Halo Reach. I thought it was a perfect send-off for Bungie. I think it did a great job of setting up a prequel to Halo Combat Evolved. And, you know, more or less, Bungie kind of went full circle with the entire Halo storyline. They kind of ended where they began with Halo Reach. So this was the last game made by Bungie in the Halo series. It was also the first Halo game to introduce Sprint. Sprint was a mechanic that was like an armor ability. So Sprint was introduced with a bunch of other armor abilities that you could equip to your Spartan in the campaign, or you would spawn with your Spartan in multiplayer. So there were powers such as the jetpack, invisibility, armor lock, etc., etc. One of my favorite ones was hologram, actually, because I would fool so many people using the hologram. Really an underrated armor ability in Halo Reach. I also think that Bungie was trying to make the most ambitious Halo title up to date at the time when it was released. So they introduced, for example, a credit system where you kind of earn credits by completing campaign missions, doing challenges, getting kills in multiplayer, completing commendations that were offered in Halo Reach, kind of similar to the challenge system in Call of Duty, as well as doing well in firefight modes. And with these credits, you can buy armor pieces, voices for your character in firefight, and armor effects. And they really tried to make sure that you were involved in every aspect of the game and not just play the campaign once and then play multiplayer for the next few years. They did a really good job of making sure that people were engaged in all aspects of Halo Reach, and I think they did a pretty good job at doing that. I remember seeing challenges that were really that offered a lot of credits for completing campaign missions, doing certain objectives, or using certain skulls. So I played a lot of the campaign in Reach, mostly due to the challenges, and I think I really appreciate the campaign because of that challenge system. Halo Reach also introduced what was called Forge World. This was a huge map that was dedicated to all of the people who wanted to create something cool in Halo Reach, and I remember spending so much time in the Forge world in Halo Reach. This was kind of similar to my love for Minecraft, where I could kind of create anything I wanted, but Minecraft wasn't available on the 360 at the time. So all of the creativity, a lot of people would use Halo Reach as their tool to make something creative. So we saw things like racetracks with the mongooses, kind of a challenge courses where you had to jump certain ways or even do puzzles and stuff. There were mazes. There were so many new and interesting things that people made in Forge World, and the improvements to that system above what Halo 3 had introduced made this so much better. I remember getting so frustrated with the Forge system in Halo 3. Granted, that was the first time that was introduced, so everything that appeared in Reach was really refined from what we saw in Halo 3. With the multiplayer, I thought Halo Reach handled this really well. With the multiplayer, Halo Reach had kind of a system where you could play between firefight, matchmaking, social games, and then invasion. Invasion was also a new game mode introduced at the time where made some big scale battles, and a lot of people still really enjoy playing Invasion today in the MCC. So I'm glad that's kind of really stuck around. I think people have forgotten that Invasion was introduced in Reach and then kind of forgotten about in Reach as well. It was also the first Halo game that I think really divided the fan base. And I think ever since then, every Halo game has had a divided or mixed result depending on who you ask, whether they like a certain Halo game or not. And I think Halo Reach really started that trend. This was the first Halo game that had changed so many different things. Like, for example, Sprint was new in Halo Reach. Halo Reach also introduced Bloom, which meant the more you fired your gun, the more inaccurate it would get. And this was particularly frustrating with, I'm assuming, a lot of the competitive players, because there was really not much of a major esports coverage for Reach back in the day. I know the Halo Pro Circuit or the Halo esports tournament thing didn't really pick up until after Reach, but I know a lot of the pro people were not into Reach as much as they were for the other games, and Bloom had a lot to blame for that. Also, I think the lore or the story of Halo Reach kind of hurt the reputation with some of the people who were more of hardcore fans into the lore of Halo. Halo Reach seems to have contradicted the Fall of Reach novel. I'm not really versed in the Halo series of books, so I may be having a misstatement here, but I think the ending of Halo Reach, the game, contradicts the ending of Halo Fall of Reach novel. And I think that's really turned off some players. And I think there's some sort of explanation 343 has made for having both of them be canon. But I've really forgotten. You're going to have to go on Halopedia to look that up. So Sprint has been in Halo ever since the release of Reach. I think a lot of people are still upset that Sprint remains in Halo. Personally, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think the natural evolution of the FPS genre kind of more or less requires Sprint today. Some of these older games just worked better without Sprint, and in today's world, I think it works better with Sprint. So it really depends on the timing, and I think it just shows the evolution of the genre, but I know some people really enjoy the lack of Sprint. Also, many consider Halo Reach to be the last good Halo game. A lot of people are not fans of the direction that Halo 4 went into, and almost everyone hates Halo 5. So there's not really a whole lot of criteria to kind of compare Halo Reach to after its release. With 343, they've only published Halo 4 and Halo 5 if you're not counting the Halo Wars 2 entry. I think we're going to have to wait and see how Halo Infinite shakes out, because that appears to be going more in the classic direction of the Bungie era of games. And I think that will be a good way to kind of compare what Bungie did for their games to what 343 is trying to replicate in their classic art style and gameplay that they're going, what we saw in Halo Infinite. So time will tell there. But is Halo Reach the last good Halo game? If you were to ask my opinion, I don't think so. It's a great game, but I don't think it's the last great game. I really am a big fan of Halo 4. I don't like Halo 5 at all, but I guess I would say Halo 4 is the last good Halo game. But Halo Reach has continued to live on. Now it's in the Master Chief Collection. Apparently it has some low population player counts on the Steam charts, I believe it is. So I think as time has gone on, people have kind of grown out of Halo Reach. But for all the hardcore fans, you can still easily find a match on MCC. Once they add in crossplay to MCC, it'll be pretty easy to find a match. So I hope you get to play some Halo Reach soon and get to enjoy the nostalgia. I still love to play it every now and then. But, you know, I guess when you've played a game for 10 years, you're kind of overplaying it. So I'm really not going to indulge myself in Reach a lot. I'll play a couple games every now and then. I'd love to know your thoughts on Halo Reach. Was it your favorite Halo game? What was the first Halo game you ever owned? Halo Reach was a lot of the first entry for a lot of players into the series. That was the first Halo game that they bought, was Halo Reach. So I'd love to know what your first Halo game was. All right, that does it for me. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you, James.